Welcome back to AM Northwest. There's a lot going on in our inner lives. So why do we often tell people that we're fine when we're not? Here to share ways to keep from bottling up our feelings, we welcome back the author of Maximize Your Emotional Intelligence, mental toughness expert, Eric Rittmeyer. Good morning, Eric. Good to see you again.
Helen, likewise. It's so nice. Thanks for having me back.
Yeah, so let's talk about this. As a Marine, when I think of all the armed forces, the Marine seems like the toughest. So weren't you taught in the Marines to kind of keep all your emotions to yourself?
Yeah, see, that's the misconception about emotional intelligence and mental toughness, because in 2 words, mental toughness is all about emotional control. We're hardwired to feel first and think later. We're emotional creatures. We can't turn off the emotion. We just have to learn ways to express it. We're not taught this in school. We go through, we memorize, regurgitate. Then we get put in situations where people say things we don't like. We don't know how to respond to that. So what do? We get upset. We get angry. We have an emotional reaction to it. So mental toughness is all about controlling the emotion, not trying to turn it off, just trying to control it.
So what toll does it take, you think, on ourselves when we stop expressing our emotions?
Yeah, that's the problem. See, and you're a lot younger than me, right, Helen? When I was a kid, my parents...
I'm older than you, but okay, I love you for that, so go ahead. You're a liar, but I love you.
You'll probably remember this as a kid, right? You remember your parents saying, don't hold in your sneeze, your lungs are going to collapse. So it's the same exact thing with emotion. We don't have a way to express it. So we have a society right now, especially with children, who they don't have any type of tools, any type of mechanisms to express it. So they bottle it up, and they get to a point where it overflows. So we have to get a much better job at learning to take control of it. Stop trying to ignore it, just take control of the emotion.
Okay, so what are some of the reasons we hold back from expressing ourselves?
One of the main reasons I think is embarrassment. And I mean, this is society, especially for boys and for males in general. You know, we're the society now of boys don't cry and don't show emotion. It's a sign of weakness. That's dangerous. And our kids need to know that emotions are okay. 100% of the time, what we're feeling is okay. It's how we respond to those feelings that's so important. So we have to let our kids know what you're feeling is okay. Let them know it's a real thing. So what you're feeling is all right. It's how you respond to it. Let's give them tools for responding to the emotion.
Isn't it hard sometimes to articulate what you're feeling? Like you sometimes don't know why you're upset.
Oh, this is brutally difficult, right? I mean, that's the issue. So we feel this way, and the first gut instinct is internally, we process this as, it's just me. There's something wrong with me. Why? Nobody else feels as bad as I do. Where realistically, we all do. But if we try to hold that in and don't talk about it and don't learn tools for expressing it, it's a lose-lose situation for everybody involved. We bottle it up. We're afraid of it. We don't want people thinking we're weak, too. That's another issue.
Right. And also, it's... I'm thinking that some people, you know, especially during COVID times, I feel like people are on edge. Like if you go to the grocery store and the line is too long, people are starting to lose it, you know, just faster than they would normally, you know, do. Don't you think that kind of adds, like we've got one thing on top of another on top of another?
It's a layering, Helen, and that's the issue. We live in this outrage society right now. We're so upset with everybody for no reason. We automatically assume the worst intentions in people. The minute somebody has a conflicting point of view, we automatically default to these defense mechanisms of trying to justify our point. We have to get a whole lot better just realizing that we all love each other. It's okay, and we have to learn to compartmentalize our emotions, meaning keep them separate. Don't bring work home. We don't go to work anymore, but we don't have to worry about that much anymore, but keep the emotions separate and don't let them bleed over into each other.
Okay, so what are some constructive ways that we can let our emotions out?
Well, one of the main things is acknowledging the emotion. That's the issue. We internally try to ignore it. So we have to be aware of our triggers. We all have them. It's the things that set us off. It might be something that people say. It might be something people do. But we have to be aware of the triggers and realize that once that trigger is pulled, what's going to follow that's going to be an emotion-based reaction as opposed to a response, which is when we process information logically, then we can formulate a response. But when we react, it's emotion-based. It's knee-jerk. We say things, we do things, we act in a way that we wouldn't normally act because it's fueled in emotion.
If we suspect that someone is struggling, how do we help them?
It's letting people know, and that's the key. That's the key here, Helen. I joke, I'm goofy, I'm silly, I laugh a lot, whatever, but I do get serious sometimes, and this is the time where I get serious when I talk about suicide. This is a major problem. right now, and a lot of people are going through a very difficult time. They entered into this pandemic maybe already teetering on being isolated and being depressed. Now this is just exacerbating that. It's all about communicating, reaching out, knowing that people want to help, knowing that we love you, getting professional help, but it's all about getting control of the emotion and knowing that we have to rely on each other. We're all going through the same storm here.
Yeah, very sure. Very, very true. All right, we want to tell our viewers, again, the book is called Maximize Your Emotional Intelligence. Eric Rittmeyer, thank you so much.
Helen, you're the best. It's so nice seeing you. Thank you. Take care.
Good to see you, too. All right, we'll be right back with more AM Northwest Uncle.